the answers to life's biggest questions are hidden in plain sight. Let's uncover them together. Welcome to the Divine Sorcerer, where we bridge the gap between science and spirit. Join me on a journey through iatromathematics, witchcraft, alchemy, biochemistry, and astrology. We'll explore the ancient and the modern, the mystical and the scientific. But this isn't just about what I've learned. It's about opening your mind to new possibilities and challenging the conventional wisdom you've been taught. We're diving into controversial topics and offering fresh perspectives, aiming to elevate your consciousness and spark your curiosity. From the wonders of the cosmos to the secrets of ancient texts, we'll uncover the hidden knowledge that can transform the way you see the world. So, are you ready to embark on this enlightening adventure? Hit that subscribe button and join the Divine Sorcerer community, where we explore the unknown and rise to a higher state of understanding. Let's unlock the secrets of the universe, one discovery at a time. See you in the next video. Stay curious, stay enlightened.
Okay. Hey guys, Divine Sorcerer here with you tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll give it a minute, let people come into the room before we start. As you see in the description, we will be talking about the Hermetic principle of correspondence, how it relates to the paranormal and biology and chemistry and alchemy and all the other fun stuff that we talk about in the groups over on Facebook. So I will give this a few seconds, get everything together. Alright, says we are streaming. Signal is good. Hopefully you all can hear me. Let's tell if you guys have sound here. Have one watching. If you're there, can you tell me if you can hear me? Okay, we do have sound. Good deal. All right. So then we will just give it a few minutes for people to come on in, and then we will start. We have two watching. All right, good deal. That is a start, huh? All right, and so, man, it's a crazy world we live in today, huh? While we're waiting, we can talk about something else, anything else, like rituals. Anybody got any rituals coming up lately? Anything for like the new moon? Anything for like, beginning of summer? Strength is good. Okay. And so, just to put this out there to get a feel, everybody on my channel and those that watch it, if you are a practitioner, how serious are you with your craft? Do you get meticulous? Like, are you one that, when you plan out your rituals and you have your candles and your gems and your herbs, do you methodically, you know, map out the times and like where you're going to put it according to the mathematical equations, like according to where the planets are at the time you're doing the ritual, like, or are you just somebody that puts candles and incense, and I'm just curious about this because I'm trying to figure out like where people are today in their practice. I see so much stuff online in a lot of these witch groups, right? Now I'm usually only in like one or two that I stay in and participate in, but I'm in a lot of witch groups or mystical groups or whatever you want to call it over on Facebook, and I see a lot of people posting about being new and curious, and then I see people posting about things they're doing, but I hardly see anything about those that are knowledgeable helping those that aren't. Like I'm not seeing any of the help there, guys. And so if you are an experienced practitioner and you are in any of them groups, don't be afraid to speak up. Help somebody out because I'm seeing more and more new people coming out of that indoctrination, that mythology part, and actually wanting more truth. And I think because of all the stuff that the world's doing with the whole alien disclosure and whatnot, people are now thinking outside the box, which is great because that really needs to happen. Like we need to rise to a higher conscience, you know. And I think this is the beginning of what they call, and I say them because I don't think it's really that, but the Great Awakening, right? I think it's more than that. I think it's existence waiting for humanity to catch up to what is rightfully theirs, to be honest with you. But, you know, we can get into a longer story of that later. But as you know, we did, if you weren't here for last week's, we did the Hermetic principle of mentalism and how that, uh, you know, uh, intertwines with like alchemy and sacred geometry and astrophysics and the things that we cover in the temple. And once we get a better understanding of these hermetic principles, we'll then be able to look at the paranormal aspect a lot different. Many avians that are like, oh man, screw that. I'm not going into a haunted house, where it's all dark with nothing. You won't be so scared to go in because you'll understand the energies that are in the house. You'll understand the energies that you're incorporating with, right? That you're playing with, because this world works through energy, through pattern, through symbolism, through vibration, mathematics, right? A lot of it is the Fibonacci sequence, the Mandelbrot, things like that. You can see a repeating pattern, right? Those of us that are awake, we don't see per se like everybody else, right? We see the world in a whole different lens, in almost like a different like a different level. Like we've come above the veil. Not that we're any better or not that we're any brighter, and that's not what I'm saying because I know a lot of you will get that misconstrued, right? What I'm saying is we've put the time and the energy and the stuff into to raise, to study, to become that higher conscience, right? And so I have found within the last, I'm not going to say 7, I've been doing this for 7, but I've found within the last maybe 4 years of actually studying the Hermetic principles and understanding them, and then once understanding them, incorporating them into my life, I've found so much truth, or what I would call truth. You might call hocus pocus or mumbo jumbo or whatever the case may be. I find it as truth. I live it out. I find that it works. I mean, when I can give up pharmaceuticals, right? And this is not medical advice, but this is just my journey and the things that I've done. But when you can give up pharmaceuticals and put your trust, or as you know, you Christian guys would say, your faith in something, like you guys put it in a God, in like somebody you think's going to judge you, and is like an all being. I put my faith in Mother Nature, in the realm that we live in, right? Because I understand that's just a portion, like a hierarchy of what's above, right? And it all goes back to as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul, right? And again, there's so much truth in that aspect too. And so when one starts to study this, um, you become, I'm not going to say brighter, because you still do this stupid shit, but you become more aware, right? You become more keen to what's going on out there. You don't fall for the psyops and all the bullshit. So when you can incorporate these seven hermetic principles into your life, and you can start seeing the world in a different view, things become a lot better. Like I said, you can understand the paranormal aspect a lot better. Like I watch some of these shows now on some of these channels, and they get all freaked out and they start thinking they get that paragonal syndrome or whatever it is. And they start thinking they see something, and they either run from it, or they try to make something up that goes with it. And I have to laugh, because when you understand the truth, you understand that it's an energy. It's not some you know little troll running around with some warhammer trying to smack the shit out of you that you can't see, right? It's not like that. It's an energy. It's a force, a aura. Same thing that you are without this mortal flesh suit. And really, it's nothing to be scared of. Hey, what's up, babe? And so we will get into the principle of correspondence. Like I said, just last week was the principle of mentalism. Very very good stuff in that video. If you haven't watched it and you're just joining today, check that one out, because we're going to do them in steps, all seven of them, and then you'll get a better understanding of the world in reality, right? All right, and so the second Hermetic principle is the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, right? I refer to that a lot in my conversations. Famously summarized by the axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without, and as the universe, so the soul. This principle suggests that there is a harmony, an agreement, and correspondence between several planes of manifestation, meaning life and being. It posits that the same laws that govern the macrocosm, the universe, the cosmos, the macrocosm, are governing the microcosm, you and I, the individual, the atom, right? And so the universal mirror, the core idea is that the universal is fractal. Here we go with the mathematical equations and the numbers, right? Told you. That is part of reality, part of life. So the universe is fractal in nature. By studying one level of existence, you can gain insight into levels that are otherwise hidden from your direct perception. Now, I can't see the chat, so if you guys are typing after I'm done reading my notes and stuff and we go through this, I'll answer any questions you have with them. So to elaborate, the macrocosm, okay, is the vast movements of the galaxy, the celestial bodies, the absolute above, right? Where the microcosm is us, the internal world of human conscious, the subatomic structure of matter. And because the laws of the universe are consistent across all planes, the patterns found in the solar system are mirrored in the structure of an atom or the biological system of a living cell. Hermeticism usually applies this principle across three primary planes. You have the great physical plane, which is matter, energy, and the tangible light. Well, tangible world. The great material plane or mental plane, right? We talked about that last week, was the mentalism. That would be the great mental plane, which is your thoughts, your intuitions, and your structure of the mind. We got into that, I think, briefly before. We have to replace the thinking, and that's the structuring of your mind. And then you have the great spiritual plane, which is the highest level of consciousness and the all, right? The mind is all. And so correspondence allows a seeker to bridge the gap between these planes. For instance, by understanding the physical laws of vibration, one can begin to understand the mental vibrations of like mood and thought, conflict and calmness. We can determine the difference. And so the principle of correspondence is often used as a tool for problem solving or self mastery. Internal versus external. If an individual's external life is in chaos, this principle suggests looking for a corresponding internal state of mental or spiritual disorder. Changing the inner world will eventually manifest a change in the outer world, right? Scientific analogy. In physics, which we talk a lot about physics, we use models to understand things too big or too small to see. This is a scientific application of correspondence, using a known scale to map the unknown. When it comes to symbolism and geometry, right? Ancient systems often used geometric patterns like the flower of life or the anagram, which you see my sigil is the anagram, because they believed that these shapes represented the fundamental blueprints used by the all at every level of creation, in everything. The missing link here is Hermetists believe that the principle of correspondence is what allows us to know the unknowable. Man is considered the unit of measurement for the universe. By mastering the below, the self, one naturally gains the keys to the above, the divine or the universal laws. This principle is distinct from the principle of mentalism, the first principle that we talked about last week, which states that everything is mind. Correspondence is the mechanism by which that mind organizes itself across different layers of reality. And so, at its simplest, correspondence says the macrocosm and the microcosm mirror each other. So, by studying one level, we can reveal something about another. In Hermetic and occult traditions, that makes it a framework for analogy, symbolism, and pattern recognition, which you get really good at when you come outside the box and start to study all this stuff. You get good at analogy, you get good at symbolism, and you get good, great, perfect. I don't know about anybody else, but I can recognize patterns really well. That pattern recognition, rather than the laboratory tested physical law. The modern occult use of correspondences shows up in like tarot or ritual magic or planetary symbolism and material magic charts. Now, when we talk about quantum consciousness in correspondence, quantum consciousness is a speculative idea, not an established scientific theory, and many popular claims go far beyond the evidence. Some writers use correspondence to argue that mind and matter mirror each other, as I just said. But that is a philosophical or mystical interpretation, not a conclusion accepted by mainstream physics or neuroscience. If you use this as a video, which I am, right, it works best as some esoteric systems. But I have found that it doesn't necessarily mirror it. Like it does, but it's not like a mirror. It's like I would be standing on one side and you would be standing on the other side, but we're different. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, we'll get to the difference in the Hermetic principle. See, they all interlink. In the Hermetic principle of polarity, right? Like, it this interconnects with polarity. So, it's the different aspects. We can elaborate in that more. Like I'm just scratching the surface here, but like we can get really in deep with the quantum consciousness, the quantum physics, and the astrology. I'm just trying to scratch the surface so you guys get like a little hint and want to go explore more on your own to find out more about yourself because it works as in shadow work when you figure out who you are, right? And that's what I'm trying to get people to do is to not be afraid of this stuff, this information, right? To understand that whether it's in your Bible or whether it's in texts that you read from Sumeria or Babylonian or Greek, they all say the same thing. I just prefer to use the occult knowledge of witchcraft and science and quantum physics and all the other fun stuff, right? So we'll get to polarity. But let's go on. Astronomy is the scientific study of celestial objects and space, while astrology is a belief system that assigns meaning and influence to planetary positions. The Hermetic correspondence historically resonates with astrology and with astronomy because astrology reads the heavens symbolically as reflections of earthly or inner realities. Astronomy can still serve your theme visually because the heavens provide imagery and many correspondence systems map into a spiritual meaning. So you see how they both correlate with correspondence, both astronomy and astrology. In that aspect, both of them do mirror each other, astronomy and astrology. So when you start to understand astronomy and astrology, and you take a look at, do I have it here? I don't know if I have it here. Um, okay, I do have it here. So when you start to look at your natal chart, no, that's the wrong one. Where'd it go? I know I just had it here. Shadow work is under shadow work. I got so many pictures in this thing. All right, so we'll just use this one, right? So when you understand the natal chart, you can use the astrology and the astronomy and put them in place, and then you can take them placements, right? See, make sure I say this right. You can take those placements and you can mathematically equate, you know, where the universe is at said time, and what herbs and things that you would need for whatever ailment that you're working with symbolically and ritualistically to create what you need to manifest a higher, healthier you. Does it make sense to you? It's all about going back to the first mentalism, first principle, mentalism. It's all about mind. You hear a lot of people say it's mind over matter, right? There's a lot of truth to that. Because a lot of times the things that we think or the things that we do or the things that we experience are mental. And that's why the first step is mentalism, because when we can clear our mind and understand that there is more understanding to be made, then we can move on to the second, which is correspondence. We can now correspond with those energies, right? We can take those energies, we can set up an altar with a circle and some candles and some herbs, all right? We can light the candles, set the herbs down with your offering, and we can invoke these very same set energies that we're talking about. And I've already showed you a video on how when you do it correctly, those energies will answer you back. Like literally answer you back. How do you know they answered you back? Well, because you're very good at symbolism and pattern recognition, and you understand how the energies of the earth and reality work. Correspondence, right? And so again, that links it all to sacred geometry and numerology. Again, numerology is another big part. Math. I know a lot of people hate math. I'm not one that really likes math either, so I kind of struggle when it comes to my practice. Like when I go out into a ghost hunt, and I set up a circle and I set my altar up and I lay out the candles and stuff, invoking that energy, understanding that energy and being able to catch that energy to bring it to you is the more purest form of ghost hunting, right? Because now you understand it. You understand through the occult knowledge about the paranormal. You understand, you know, who you really are. Let me tell you something. When you do your shadow work, when you transform from that lame little person that you were to a now higher conscious person, life begins to snowball, flower. I don't know what you want to call it. Like a lotus flower opening up, like a phoenix rising out of the ashes. Like things just start to make more sense. You start to see the things that you refused or you didn't want to see. You start wanting better. You want to be happy. You want to know more, right? It's like I need to have. It's almost like a drug. You want to have this. Like you want to know this. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it was like, okay, I got to know this. And then after I knew it, it was like, well, I need to know more. I don't want to stop there. And it just goes and goes. And that is the journey that we all must take. Is understanding this. There's a reason that when we go from the realm we're in before we're born into life, that we remember nothing, that everything is wiped, right? Because this is a journey of the beginning, the Aleph, the creation. And you are to live that journey out. Now we have some evil men and people that don't want you to do that, which is again why they changed the times and the seasons and gave you a 12-month calendar instead of the third. Like because these people also know about energy and energy transfer and the way the world works. But they keep you indoctrinated and dumbed down and obedient through fairy tales and psyops and all kinds of stuff that relatively doesn't make no sense, right? But that's getting off point. Let's get back to the sacred geometry and numerology because this is good stuff. Sacred geometry and numerology are often linked through the idea that numbers underline form, proportion, and pattern. In that worldview, repeated shapes, ratios, and sequences are seen as evidence of an underlying order connecting different scales of reality. From a scientific angle, geometry and number absolutely describe nature, but the leap from that fact to mystical correspondence is interpretive rather than proven yet. Okay. And so we go to biology. Now, this is us. This is what we are. This is how we're made, right? Human biology. So, biology gives the strongest visual support for the idea of repeated patterns. The Mandelbrot, the fractal uh, system, the Fibonacci sequence, like they're all repeating patterns. Like, like they used to say, life repeats itself, right? History repeats itself. And if you don't get it right, you repeat yourself. Why people get born again and they're like, deja vu. You've been here before, you just didn't complete it. You fucked up, right? Or you didn't do something right, and now you're back. Hey, you're back. You'll get it right this time. Let's try. And so, when you understand all these aspects and you put them all together, you understand how the world works. Then you can start improving your practice. And now, when it comes to your practice, because you hear me all the time talk about, my practice, what I'm doing, this and that. I ain't gonna lie to you, I absolutely love witchcraft. I love, I love the mysticism and, all that comes with it. I love being able to sit down and do a spell and light my candles and have my incense in my circle and like I like to see the outcome, the patterns, the synchronicities, the way the energy evolved. You know, to many people, they're like, yeah, because they don't understand the way the world works. They don't understand reality. You know, people see 222 or 444 on the clock, and it's just like, huh, I caught it, okay, and they go on with themselves. They don't understand there's a deeper meaning there. They don't understand that two represents balance. Now you got triple twos. They're really trying to tell you to put your life in balance, or that you need something in your life in balance. Like there's something that needs balanced, right? Universally, you missed that because you don't know. To you it was nonsense and you just kept on going. So your life's still going to be out of chaos. You're still going to have all these problems. You're still, you know, going to get depressed and whatever because you didn't catch that synchronistic sign, right? One thing I've learned my time in the occult knowledge, in my research and my studies, is when it comes to things like the as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, as the soul, I took a deep dive. Like I needed to know, just like when I was in Christianity, I needed to know, why everybody starts at the back of the book and not in the beginning of the book. Like, like why did they tack a Roman theology onto the front of, or the back of a Jewish mythology? Like all these things didn't make sense, right? So I had to know more, right? Which is ultimately why I went with the name sorcerer, because when I go to study, when I do my research, when I do these things, I go to the source and I don't stop till I'm at the very like beginning. Like I can't. There is no more source. Like I go to the source of things, and so I thought it only right to be the divine sorcerer because I'm into what's on the other side, to the divine. You know, understanding the unseen and the things that people are afraid of, and that was one thing why I got into paranormal investigating. Not so much because people were afraid of it, but why? Like I'm not afraid of much. There's really nothing that scares me except spiders and ants and horses. Horses fucking scare the shit out of me, right? other than that, really nothing scares me. And so, my time in paranormal investigating, I would do things and try things, and I wanted to be scared, but it never got that far. I never got scared. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I got creeped out, right? There'd be times when, I'd be doing an investigation, like, say, for instance, at the Shadden house. You walk into the bedroom, you shut the door a little bit, leave a little bit of crack, in case you have to run out the door because something's pulling you into some fucking, warp zone or something. And you get in there and your EMF detector starts going off, and all of a sudden the door slams shut. It's like, okay, why? Who did that? What did, you know what I mean? It makes you start to think, or at least it does me. Most people would probably run out screaming like a little wussy and be like, ah. And so I have to think about it, and I have to process this information to find out what was really going on. Ultimately, it led me to the mirror, and we got all that situated. But the thing is, understanding the energy that you're playing with. In this case, it was an energy that someone put into this mirror. Now, whether they used it for ritual practices or whatever they did with it, was what their choice was. But years down the road, after so much time and probably went through so many yard sales or whatever, some certain person picked it up, hung it up on their wall, and well, then they started having problems. It's all about the energy, right? All right, let's see here. Where am I at? Oh yeah. All right, and so like in those investigations and whatnot, in a couple, I think I posted them. I can't remember. In a couple of those videos, you'll see where I'll go into the investigation. I'll get a read on the energy, try to understand what I'm playing with, and if I can't, then I'll break out the tarot cards, and I'll use tarot to help me determine what the energy is, what it wants, what I can do from there. It's reading the tarot, right? In a basic common sense. So tarot is built around correspondence by design. Cards are linked to planets, zodiac signs, elements, Hebrew letters, colors, numbers, and paths on the tree of life in Hermetic traditions. That makes it one of the clearest practical examples of correspondence in the occult work, because each card can be read as a node in a larger symbolic network, right? And so when you can understand your cards and how to read them and to properly place them, you can understand the energy as if you were talking back and forth to a human, another person. You're not. You're just talking to what the cards are telling you, right? The cards are relaying the message. You're just going with by what the energy is telling you. And so that's when we get into what everybody calls witchcraft or mysticism or occult practices. And so in modern witchcraft and Wicca, they often use correspondence in spellcraft, where herbs, stones, days, colors, deities, and planets are matched by symbolic infinity. This use grew out of older ideas like sympathy, resonance, magic, uh, medicine, and later occult systems. In practices, correspondence gives witches and symbolic toolkit for ritual intentions and pattern based meaning and making, right? And so now, when we come to, you know, the as above, so below, and I've made a couple of videos about this, but I'm going to stress it again because I don't think people really pay attention. But how do you know? Like, how can you say for sure that what is above is below? Like, is there any definite proof on that? Well, why not go back to the source? right? Let's look at the source of things. How do we know that what is above is what is below? Hold on a minute here. Let me get back to where I was. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Hold on. Whew, that was weird. All right. So going back to how do we know that what is above is what is below, that what is within is without, or that the universe is the same as the soul? How do we know this, right? Taking blinders off, come out of the box. Let's look at patterns. Let's look at what life, reality has to show us. Okay? Let's look at that. Here we have a tree as if it was cut in half. On the other side, we have a picture of a thumbprint, right? Would that not be the mirroring that we just discussed earlier? How the as above is a mirror? This is a prime example of a mirror, right? A tree stump and a human fingerprint. Bam, they both look identical. The as above, so below, guys. Well, let's move on, right? Here we have the stomach, right? Well, if you look at ginseng, I think it's a ginseng root. Well, ginseng looks kind of like the stomach. Again, mirror, as above, so below. Here we have the walnut and the brain. The walnut looks like the brain, right? Here we have Mother Nature and we have us. Our brain looks like a walnut. But even more than that, if we eat walnuts, that's even better. It gives us brain strength. We're going to get into all that also. Like yeah. Like you can go, oh my God, you can get so deep and it's so fascinating. But I'm just trying to scratch the system so I don't lose people. All right, and then the next one, right? You have celery. Well, celery looks kind of like our bones, right? And hey, surprise, celery is good for the bones, right? See how that works? Here we have mushrooms. Well, look at the human ear. Does the human ear not look like a mushroom? Here we go. The mirror effect. As above, so below. Let's go to the next one, right? Shall we? Because this is interesting. Here we have grapes. These are foods that resemble body parts, and they're good for your health. I probably shouldn't tell you that because then you won't want to eat it, right? But grapes, when you look at grapes, they're like your lungs, right? How about the carrots? Carrots look like your eye, right? As above, so below. Your eye. Next one. Oh, and might I add, let me go back to that because I didn't do that on the last couple. Carrots, right? Look like your eye. Well, not only does it look like your eye, but carrots are good for your eyes. Do you see how it works? You see how Mother Nature is trying to tell you, look, this looks like your eye, human. Hey, pay attention, you petty little human. See this? Looks like your eye. Eating this is good for your eyes. It's quite simple. There we go with the tomato, right? The tomato looks like the heart. Oh, let me transition. There you go. So you got the tomato, right? And the tomato looks like your heart. Well, and again, we can get more proof. Like, how do we know? You know, okay, so it looks that's coincidental. It looks like the heart. Yeah. It's also good for your heart. It helps your heart. Not only does it look like your heart, but it also helps your heart. So you see how that works in the as above, below aspect of things. Again, it goes back to the pattern recognition, understanding what you're seeing, comprehending what you're seeing. And it, again, it goes back so much more than that, because when you look at, like, let's see here. When you look at this here, right, you can start to take your natal chart, your planet placements, where they're at, okay, and you can understand who you are. So much into, like, so much to where you can, like, take your name and alchemically decipher it through, the things that you learn in your natal chart. Like, but again, it goes so much deeper than that, because here we've taken the zodiac wheel, right, and we split it in half. Why did we do that? Well, let's look here. We were talking. I touched about this uh, a while ago. I think maybe it was a couple of videos ago. I know I got it here. All right, here it is. And so when you look at, like, the human body, after you do that, you look at the human body again. How do we know? You know what I mean? How do you know that taking the zodiac wheel and splitting it in half and doing this S shape, and putting these 12 months according to these 12, planetary systems, and like, how do you know that this works? Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, guys, to understand the mirroring of the as above, so below, of the macrocosm and the microcosm, and all the mystics before, knew all this. This is like foundational practice. This is things that your saviors and your people were teaching in these nomad schools way back when. They were understanding that you know your your magnetic field and your electric field, considering a wavelength, runs in that specific pattern, one up and down, one side by side, is still in that S-shaped pattern, right? Your sun and your moon travel in that same S-shaped pattern, right? There's the moon and its shape and pattern. There is a wavelength in the same pattern. There is your DNA. Oh my gosh, it's in the same pattern. Are you understanding the pattern recognition? Are you recognizing the patterns? Are you understanding that this is how reality and life works? It's all mathematical. It's all, like, synchronistic and symbolic. Like, what you need to know here on Earth is already portrayed in the cosmos. Why do you think our ancestors and earlier civilizations looked to the stars? They weren't doing it for their health. The, the stars hold the secret. Like Nikola Tesla said, if you knew the significance of the 3, the 6, and the 9, you would have the keys to the universe. Why? Because numerology has a lot to do with the way the world works, right? I mean, we can get, like, I can go back here and we can get so much deeper. Like, let me see here. Hold on a minute. Um, all right, so here we go. I was talking about, the wavelength, right? Here is the wavelength. Uh, Now we're talking about vibration, energy, frequency, right? We're still talking about the energy. Energy, as it speeds up, becomes a frequency. Okay, like you can see in this chart here, we have like as the wavelength goes, we have radio, microwave, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma ray. We have a small little part here in the visible. Okay, that's all we get. But there's so much more. There's the infrared, the microwave, the radio, the ultraviolet, and in these planes, in these separate states, okay, there's things that we can't see. But these same energies, if you understand them in this realm, you can interact with. But this is stuff they don't tell you, okay, because you don't know. You don't know this stuff, right? But look at this. There's the same line, right? The same line. Sun and the moon do the same line. Now, like I said, we can get deeper into this, right? We can start talking about okay, energy is a frequency. Well, average organs have frequencies, right? Like our thyroid and our uh, paradoneal glands, 62 to 68 megahertz, right? Our thyroid gland operates at 65 to 68 megahertz, so on and so forth. Your heart, your lungs, your liver, your stomach, your pancreas, your descending colon, your ascending colon, all of them, right? And so when you're doing your craft and when you're understanding energy and energy transfer and how energy works with reality and how the whole works, the universe works in a whole, the cosmos, the humans here on Earth, like when you can piece it together and understand the whole interconnectedness of life itself. I'm not talking about anything but life itself. Then you can understand that through these energies, through these vibrations, right? Because another Hermetic principle, nothing rests, everything moves. That's the next Hermetic principle that we're going to talk about next week. So I should probably say this till next week, but I'm going to give you an introductory, right? Looking at the frequency, the vibration, next week's subject. We'll just touch on this quick. The planets have their own frequency. Now, I just showed you, how the human body has frequencies, right? It's the same thing. No, not that one. As the Earth has frequencies, and you can invoke these frequencies. You can align your body to work alongside with these frequencies. Now, I know a lot of you be like, "Oh, this mumble." There's been tests done. The government has done tests on what I'm speaking about, what I am talking about. It's called sound healing, right? It's called meditation. It's called Reiki. It's called things that you're not told about because you're not taught to find out who you are. You're not taught how to heal yourself. You're taught to, go work yourself to death and buy these pills and become a slave to society so that you can pay to kill yourself. That is what you're taught. You're not taught to look into who your ancestors were, to look into who you were, to look into who you can become if you understood life and who you are. I know a lot of people are going to get upset about this, but there's no big daddy in the sky that's going to threaten you with heaven and hell. There is no savior that's coming to save you. Like there's none of that. There is you and only you. And when you can figure out that you have a choice, you have what's called free will. You can either remain a slave to society or you can raise to a higher conscience and become who you were originally supposed to be. Again, like I told you in the beginning of the video, man has kept you down, man has kept you hidden, hindered, brainwashed, all by doing one simple thing hundreds of years ago, and that was taking the 13-month calendar and creating it and putting it into a Gregorian. That had an effect, right? And it just got worse. Now we're seeing an all-time high of stupidity. because people aren't learning. They're walking around with phones in front of their face. They're more worried about, other crap. They're not out playing in the mud, or they're not at the library reading, or you know doing shadow work. This is where it's at, right here. Understanding who you are. Your body is a universe. Your very makeup are many solar systems. The electrons are the planets, and the nucleus is Ra. Yeah, as above, so below. As within, so without. Complex yet simple logic. I mean, they put it in front of your face in everything. Like telling you, oh, 666 is the man beast. No, 666 is 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. That is the alchemical structure of your body. Nothing more. But when you understand that this system works through fear, and if they can get you to fear, then you're docile, you are obedient. And that's all it is. It's a fear based system. And it's time we come out of that system. It's time we break generational curses. It's time we understand the truth of who we are. Because even there's been so many people, Plato and Socrates, so many people have told you, even Tesla, that you are more powerful than you realize. And you're never going to realize how powerful you are. As long as you stay stuck in that indoctrination and that dumbed down system that keeps you huddled with all the other fear based people that are afraid to open their eyes and come out of that box because, oh my gosh, it's uncertain. What's going to happen to me if I lose my salvation? You won't know till you come out of the box and find out. And I'm pretty sure your own book tells you that nobody can save you but yourself. But you guys don't even read the book. You'd rather just repeat words that you hear on a TV show or some other guy say. Like, it's ridiculous. Come out of that. Study some science, some biology, some quantum consciousness, astrophysics, alchemy. Start studying this stuff. Start putting it together. Start realizing you're a little universe trapped in a flesh suit. And when that flesh suit dies, you're going to a much better place than where you are now. And how do I know? Because I've been there. Shortly, briefly, but I've been there. There wasn't no pearly gates. There wasn't no hell with flames. Wasn't none of that. There was just an all-encompassing love. And then boom, I was back. And that's what set me on finding out what is after death. Guys, death ain't to be feared. It's a natural process. Your mom went through it. Your grandma went through it. Your great-grandma. Everybody goes through it. Why? Because energy doesn't die. First law of thermodynamics says that energy cannot be created and energy cannot be destroyed. Energy can only be transformed. And that's why you are here, to do your journey, to transform yourself into a higher consciousness being. Why do you think aliens ain't come to see us yet? Because they don't talk. They don't use words. They're not simplistic and dumbed down like us. They're too smart. They probably lock their doors when they fly past because we're so dumb. They talk through telekinesis. The other one knows what the first one's thinking before he even thinks it. That's how smart they are. You think they're going to waste their time coming down to a puny little inhabited rock like this where all the species wants to do is kill everything it sees? No. They got better things to do. So I gotta laugh when, oh my God, they're bringing out the alien disclosure. Da da da. Yeah, yeah. I guarantee you, it's MK Ultra or it's some kind of CIG again to make you fear. Why? Because this system runs on fear. Someday, guys, we'll get it, right? Someday we'll understand. Hopefully before 5 billion years, when the sun blows up and the earth dies and everything starts over again, right? Someday. So, till then, we will wait. It has been a very interesting video. I've had fun with this video. And if you've learned something or just think that I'm plumb crazy, leave it in the comment section. I'm curious to find out. I know I'm crazy, but I just want to see how many of you think I'm crazy. But I'm crazy in truth, right? This is the truth. This is science. This is biology. This is quantum consciousness, astrophysics. Like, this is the good stuff, the legit stuff, not something that was thought up by a man hundreds and hundreds of years ago and repeated throughout history to make you think something today. No, this is tangible science that you can repeat over and over and over. This is understanding through natural laws that man can't play with, right? Again, how do we know it's true? Because it's all around us in nature, right? How do we know we are the star of the show? Well, look, you guys that follow me or don't follow me, I don't know. If you're watching this video and you want to know more, let's see here. You can always go over to my website here. Okay. Um, I have a short little thing on the Hermetic principles even here because I've done them. Like I said, I incorporate them into my life. Like, they are a major part of my life. You can go to my blog, right? Just hit on blog, and it's got a whole bunch of things that I have put out that you won't find on social media, right? Again, if you want to know who I am, there's about me, there's pictures, previous investigations, all kinds of stuff. So, uh, if you're on Facebook, you're more than welcome to come find me on Facebook, Michael Williams Sr., the Divine Sorcerer. Just type in either one, it should come up, right? But you can find me over here. You can also find me in the Temple of Veiled Seekers over on Facebook. So you've got, oh, wait a minute, I didn't transition it. There we go. Okay. All right, it is. All right, you can see it. Transition. All right, good deal. So again, you got my website, you've got my Facebook, and then you've got the Temple of Veiled Seekers on Facebook. And so if you're over there and you want to, I know a lot of people don't have like Facebook, and for good reasons probably. Like me, I just don't care. Like, they've got your whole number, your whole profile already. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, they're not hiding nothing from them because that's what they've built. They've built a surveillance state. They've built a place where you can't poop without even them knowing who you are, right? Let's face the facts. Like, let's get to the truth of the conversation. Let's get to the source, right? Because I'm a sorcerer. I like the source things. Let's get to the source of it. And the source of it is, we live in an evil world, guys. So when you can start depending on yourself, start growing your own food, right? Start taking care of your health yourself, and not listening to the ones over there that are just wanting a damn paycheck, right? Because that's all it is. Nobody's worried about your health but you. Just like nobody's going to save you but you, right? So it's good to know who you are. Who are you? Do you know who you are? Or are you just going with the flow? Do you want to know more? And join me on this journey. I've been on this journey for 7 years, and I've learned a lot. I've still got a lot to learn, but I've learned a lot. Uh, if you are on, well, obviously you are on YouTube. Let's see here. All right. All right. So over on YouTube, when you go to my profile, there's a little community button here at the top where it says where my picture is. It says Brad Paranormal. It says customize channel, manage video, community. Right. You go over to my community channel. Right. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there too that I have posted. Like, I mean, like good stuff. There's, what sign are you? Pisces, Cancer, you know, all kinds of things on energy, like all kinds of stuff here, guys. That if you want to see some of my past work, there would be the place to do it. I'm not gonna be promoting anybody this week because I don't have nobody to promote, right? So I'm promoting me. But anyway, if you want to find out more, if you want to join me on this journey, if you are interested and things are making sense to you, hit me up. There's three different ways: website, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm not very hard to find. Like I tell everybody I meet, all you gotta do is look me up on social media. Anybody can find me. Even if you're one of them people that I've fallen out with and removed you from my life just because you're toxic and you carry bad energy, like, I'm not saying, we're gonna be buddy buddy, but if you have questions or you need, some kind of answer or something as a human, I will answer you. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna give you any time because you had enough, but I will answer you. And see, that's the difference we need to learn, you know, in life. Because we can be free, right? And not invite certain energies back into our life, right? If you know that they're toxic, keep them out of your life because that's just going to make your life even harder. People don't understand that. And then they get upset when you remove them from your life. But you did it for good reason. I'm looking for one specific chart here. Right here. And so when I talk about energies, that's not the one I wanted. Right? Here's that spiral again. Here's that line. Right? We have an emotional spiral and a descending. All these guys are what we want to concentrate on. Calm optimization, hopefulness, curiosity, peace, serene, pleased, organized courage, playful, positive, acceptance, belief, productive expectations, worthy, cheerful, happiness, security, learning, self love. Look at that, learning, self love, right there in just one section, right? Because that's what we should be doing. Learning self love. And the highest, guys, the highest of vibration is love, right? Love. Something we don't know about today. Something that we don't have really in the world today is love. Because this fear-based system operates the way it does, it's more concentrated on separation and chaos and racism and just destructive, evil, negative energies. And that is what we need to change. We can change those energies in the world by raising to a higher consciousness, understanding who we are, what we are. Like I said, you can love one another without inviting them negative energies in. You can love them from a distance, right? They just have to understand that they're toxic or that they're no good for that said person, right? No matter who you are. It's a balance in life. And I always tell people, and they get upset with me when I tell them this, but it is so true. It has not failed me in the 50 years I've been on this earth. And you know what? I give credit to like a counselor long, long ago that told me this when they were trying to get me off the drugs, right? And they trying hard. This guy would always tell me, Michael, you're only as good as the company you keep. Think about that. What kind of company are you keeping? What's their energy? Some people are vampires in a literal sense, right? Some people are vampires in a literal sense. Somebody's chatting. Hold on a minute. Why am I not getting any of this stuff? Where am I? Okay, here we are. I know you're crazy. I live with you. At least one person there's I'm crazy. I feel special now. Woo! Alex says hi, Uncle Mike. Oh, hi, Alex. Great to see you live again. How are you? This is Chrissy, by the way. Chrissy. Refresh my memory. Chrissy. That's my godchild. I'm pretty sure. Am I on the right path? Been a minute. Pretty sure that's who it is. I'm pretty sure. I can't type. All right, and so it's good to see you, Chrissy. Give them kids a hug and kiss from me. And so when understanding these set energies, and understanding that you can keep yourself healthy, you don't have to rely on these evil pedophile people that are out to just kill humanity because some stone says that you need to keep it down under 500,000 or some crap like that, right? Take your life back into your own hands, right? And so I'm not going to say, yes, gotcha. See, I knew it. I'm not. I'm not that slow yet. I'm old, just not that slow yet. And so, when we can learn who we are through these energies, right? When we can take these energies and keep ourselves healthy without those said greedy people getting into it, we can possibly start living a little longer. Humanity has come to an all-time low. People are dying a lot younger today than they did even 75, 100 years ago. And as Americans, I know this is probably off subject of the video, but we're pretty much done with the correspondence, right? As Americans, when's enough? Like, do they literally gotta steal your house and your car and just give you a cardboard box and say that's all you're good enough for before you get angry and say I've had enough? Like I have seen so much stuff. Uh, it's not even funny. It's disgusting. I have seen so much about the way not just this administration, but all of political teachers, straight down to the nobodies in state workers, They're all involved, whether they're not involved but just silent. They're supporters. They're still involved. They're still just as wrong. Just like the cops. I don't like any cop. Why? There may be good cops out there, but are they that good if they're not willing to turn their coworker in? They're just as bad. They're only as good as the company they keep. God, that keeps coming up. When will people learn this, right? And it's so true. People got upset with me when I left the Shabbat scene, the Judaism scene. They only got upset with me when I left the Christian scene too. But you know, getting into witchcraft and becoming a sorcerer, and like so many people were so upset with me and wanting to save me, and like it was just funny because it's like I sit back now and I'm looking at these people and I'm like, yeah, happy you even took that shot. Happy you are indoctrinated. You're just mad at me because I came out of that indoctrination. I am more free now. I don't rely on pain pills and prescription medicine. I rely on Mother Nature and Earth and vegetables and you know things like that. I'm free. I'm in pain a lot, but I'm free. And I know who I am. That's the greatest part of all. I know who I am and I know what I can do. And that's the greatest gift of all. Knowing who you are and what you can do, yet having the patience not to be psycho about it. Because trust me, I've seen a lot of practitioners. Case in point, the guy I learned from, right? Get way carried away. End up, like, yeah, falling down that hole and like, losing it mentally, right? Because they didn't know the first hermetic principle of mentalism. They didn't incorporate it into their life. They just went with the flow and ended up getting into the bad energy and because they couldn't decipher the energies, right? They knew they were there, they knew how to work with them and play with them, but they didn't know how to decipher them. They didn't have the understanding. Thus, they go out and they kill people, or they go out and they, do some kind of ritual that hurts people, or that, it's not what any of it was meant for, guys. None of it. That's irresponsible. And yes, I do believe that there will be a judgment upon the end of everybody's life. That's not just in the Bible. That's in Egyptian lore, Sumerian lore, like a bunch of lore. And rightfully so, as we should be held accountable for the things we do here in this little 100-year span that we have in this flesh suit, right? But ultimately, the purpose is to learn. You come here to learn. Nobody's learning. They're getting indoctrinated and staying good little sheeples through fear. Except the very few of us. I'd say maybe I'll give it 20%. The 20% of us that have come outside that box. And I'd like to see that 20% raised to like maybe 40% before I die. That would be great. Because then I know the world is moving ahead, not backwards like it's been doing for 50, 100 years. Tell them all I said hi. I've just been very busy, like swamped, like so much things. Again, my journey. So much has changed, Chrissy, since I've talked to you last. Like, yeah, yeah. But it's changed for the better. It is definitely changed for the better. Again, like I said, I'm free. I'm happy. I'm alive. You know, the doctors gave me a death sentence, told me I should have died like several years ago. But you know what? By the good graces of the powers that be, and I said powers, I am still here. Why? Because I have a journey, just like you have a journey. Obviously, my journey wasn't done. Again, I died like twice, 3 times. I don't know how many times. I've died a few times. And I'm back here again. Because this is my journey. Not just to tell you people what I find, not just to tell you people how I'm living, not just to show you people how I'm living, but to walk it out, to record it, so that years later, somebody else can grab this material and say, this guy did it. If this guy can do it, I can do it too. I can't be the only oddball. I can't. I'm not. I'm sure I'm not the only one living like this. Matter of fact, I know I'm not the only one living like this. I'm the only one that's recording it. I'm the only one that's showing you it. I'm very verbal about my witchcraft, my sorcery. I'm very verbal about, what I do. This ain't the 1800s no more. It's not like somebody going to pull in my driveway and string me up and hang me over a bridge because I practice witchcraft to keep myself healthy. I'd like to see them try. They'll be playing with forces that they don't quite understand with. Yeah, they might kill me. But they'll have a generational curse that they wish they'd have never had. It'd be worse than crossing the path of a gypsy. I guarantee you that. It would be worse. And if not, if you don't understand, well, yeah, you can ask my daughter's boyfriend. He found out real quick. And again, when you understand them energies, you understand the energy that works, right? When you understand how this world works and your place in it, you you can also manipulate and work with and understand to manifest the reality that you want. But nobody else is going to do it for you. You have to get your head out of that damn phone. You know, say no to all the things that are coming in and take some time to sit at home and put your face in the book and study. Work on you. And when you do that, then you become like the 20% of us that have raised to a higher consciousness, that have come to this understanding, that can read people when they come in the room, can look at patterns and understand what's going on through synchronicities and signs. And like we know. And it's not because we're smarter, we got some gift. Well, I mean, I guess intelligence is really a gift, but it's because we research to understand. It's like G.I. Joe used to say. I used to love that show. Well, now I know, and knowing is half the battle. It's only half, but at least it's half, right? Knowing is only half. Understanding is the other half. When you understand it and you can incorporate it, manifest, and then see the results of that manifestation. And again, that's what I try to show you people, the results of the manifestation that I did when I invoked my staff, when I invoked my board cloth, the signs, the synchronicities, the things that happened. Witchcraft is real and it works. Life is real and you're here. Stop being a sheeple. Stop blindly obeying. Take your life back and become who you were supposed to be. I will see you guys next week for the principle. I'm pretty sure it's vibration, right? That's going to be another fun one. I know a lot of us don't have like some big yard and stuff that we can grow, but start growing your own food. Start learning off all the preppers out here, right? Because they've got it half right. Make your own food, make your own clothes, make your own deodorant and toothpaste and whatnot. Because if you've learned anything from 2020 on, and I'll say this till the day I die, they don't care about you. You're just a number, a paycheck. If we don't change this world, imagine what it's going to be for our grandchildren and our children and our godchildren. Imagine if we just sit there docile and we don't speak up. We don't come online here, even though many other people are coming online teaching the same thing. Some teach it more advanced, some teach it less advanced. Some just teach it because, well, they live it and they love it. The best thing I ever did was coming out of religion and understanding science and biology and alchemy and occult knowledge. Best thing I ever did. I don't regret it. I changed my life 7 years ago. It has been a roller coaster ride, but it has been the best roller coaster ride. I wouldn't change it for the world, but it is definitely something to write about, right? And so I will be bringing a book out, The Fall of a Broken Man to the Rise of the Divine Sorcerer. And there'll be a lot in there that I don't talk about that's not on social media. And it'll be my life's journey and who I am and who I become. And you can become who you've always wanted to be. This world is a big place. Goes back to the energy vampires I was telling you about. Monsters are real, guy. They are real. Maybe not in the form as Hollywood would have you believe them, right? But they sit beside us every day. We deal with them every day, whether you buy something off of them, whether you pass them in line and getting onto a plane or what. We live with evil. It's all around us every day. So for light workers like us, we combat it every day. We will get on here and we will tell you the truth, no matter how hard it is, even if we don't like you. That goes back to that. What was it here? Oh, I don't know. I lost it. There it is. Goes back to the emotional spiral, right? Just because I don't like you, don't mean I don't understand, right? Just means I won't involve you in my life. Yes, I'll answer your questions. Yes, I'll be civil as an adult because I understand that, right? Just means I won't invite you back into my life. You have no place there. You see what I'm saying? As a civil adult, if I see you on the street or if you have questions, I'll answer them. I'll talk to you. But just don't think you have a place in my life. That goes for family, friends, whoever I've blocked, you know, taken out of my life, you've been taken out for a reason. And that opportunity has long passed. There will never be another opportunity again. It's one and done shot with this man. All right, guys. So, Principle of Vibration, I will see you next Thursday. I hope to see you many Thursdays after that. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. Once gas prices come down, I can probably go do me some ghost hunting and find some interesting things to get into. But we need to raise hell about that and change that shit too, right? We need to get the ball rolling, guys. Stand together as a community. Stand together as a whole. Start fighting back. Make this place a better place for your children, your grandchildren, your godchildren, and children after that. All right, man. I will see you on the next video. Till then, just stay blessed. Keep your eyes open. Work on yourself. That's the biggest thing. If you take anything from this video tonight, it is to take this cancer machine here, right? Put it in tinfoil, throw it out the door for a while or something, but get it away from you for a while. Have a nice healthy meal with your significant other and your children or whatnot. Sit down and have a family conversation. Just take a couple hours for you and your family, and just without all the noise, and get back to reality, get back to the serene part of life before all the chaos and commotion came in, right? All right, guys, I will see you on the next video. I'm out.
If you're a seeker of hidden truths, then you need to dive into the world of the occult. Journey with us through ancient tomes and cryptic symbols as we explore the esoteric arts, sorcery, hermetics, iatra mathematics, astrology, and sacred geometry. These disciplines have shaped human history, whispering secrets to those brave enough to listen. Imagine the alchemist's laboratory, filled with mysterious instruments and bubbling elixirs, where science and magic converge to reveal the hidden laws of nature. Picture the astrologer's chart, mapping the heavens to uncover the cosmic influences on our lives. What did the ancients know that we have forgotten? How did they use sacred geometry to unlock the secrets of the universe? And what truths lie hidden in the mystical texts of Hermeticism? These questions beckon us, inviting us to delve deeper into the unknown. Join us as we unveil the mysteries of the occult, where every symbol has meaning and every number carries a hidden message. Unlock your inner potential, transform your reality, and embrace the cosmic journey of self-discovery. Are you ready to explore the arcane and transcend the ordinary? Welcome to the world of sorcery and occult secrets. Let's begin this mystical journey together.